The Eltons are invited to all sorts of dinner parties, and Emma has to invite them out of social necessity because this is what you did. So she invites them over, and her dad is like, I don't like large parties. And now, because, my son in law is visiting, it's going to be 9 people at the table instead of 8. And I just can't deal with 9 people. And it's kind of difficult. Some people have problems with large groups and dealing with interactions. And I can appreciate his position. When I was little, um, I had a friend who had a birthday party. I was like 6 or 7 at the time. And this friend was only allowed 12 guests or something like that. There was some limit to the number of people because her parents were just like, no. And so she could only invite so many people, and there was one person who by sheer force of numbers was just left out. And then a month or two later, that person had a birthday party. And her parents were like, we are going to make this the best birthday party ever. And then spited that one person, the one mutual friend, by not inviting her. So it was just this thing. It was like, we didn't get it as kids because, 6 or 7, and, it was just mean, kind of. But anyway, uh, so that's I understand his position of not wanting that many people over. Um, so anyway, they have the party, and they have, this discussion. They start talking about the letters. Now, this is something I went back and forth on talking about, but Emma picked up on it. It's like, okay, so this must be something important. Um, so Jane wants to go and get the letters herself, and she's using the needing to get out for a walk as an excuse. But it becomes obvious that, she wants to get the letters and wants to intercept them. And they're speculating, oh, it must be because Emma's speculating, oh, it's letters from Ireland because that's where the family she lived with. Because remember, Jane Fairfax lived with a family who was rather rich, related to her, or it was the colonel who her father served under. So she was kind of raised with this family, and they had a lot of money, and they are currently in Ireland. And so Emma's thinking she's expecting letters from Ireland. We'll probably find out in a couple of chapters where these letters are actually coming from. Then they get into a discourse about handwriting. Now, people's handwriting varies a lot in alphabetic scripts. So, where you have letters that spell things out, the handwriting varies a lot. When it is pictographs like kanji or Chinese, then the writing tends to be more uniform. So when somebody who's Chinese signs their name and they write out the ideographs are always done the same way. So you can't see that I'm signing Mark, you just see that somebody wrote Mark. And this is something that, in the Western world, it's like I sign my name and someone else writes Mark, or some other Mark signs their name. There's a difference in the look. And there's actually studies that have been done in research, and a lot of people believe that the handwriting is indicative of the personality. So, because my handwriting is kind of sloppy, that means I'm an erratic thinker. Um, and my handwriting is incredibly sloppy, and I've tried practicing, but I don't have the patience for it. And I should. Once again, another story from when I was young. The teacher said, "Can you just bring this in typed? I just can't read your handwriting." And so if I really concentrate and I really work hard, I can make legible writing, but it's a struggle. The struggle is real. It's like putting up with lots and lots of people. Um, the struggle is real. Anyway, that's handwriting. Fun little fact: the early handwriting, um, the early handwriting analysis (OCR, optical character recognition) was actually trained on a data set that was collected by the U.S. Postal Service. So the U.S. Postal Service scanned all these letters, just millions and billions of letters, and all of these handwritten things. And they had somebody hand sort them. It's like, okay, this is a 1, this is a 2, this is a 3, this is a 7, this is an A, this is a B, this is a K, this is a Q. And so they went through and they sorted all of these letters, and they used that to train early AI that did handwriting recognition. So that is a little bit of trivia that the early AI handwriting recognition was actually trained on the U.S. Postal Service data. The post office does an incredible job of getting stuff around, and they are right to admire their postal service. It's actually kind of interesting that back in the day, the post office delivered to places in major cities more than once. So you would have a morning delivery and an afternoon delivery and an evening delivery. And there were people who sent like 6 letters back and forth. Um, so, just boom, 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 6 letters in one day, because the post office was just running that much, that fast, that efficiently. But then again, the effective cost was higher at the time. And, it's like only rich people had the money to send letters. And so, it was one of those things that happened. Um, it's kind of weird to think about because, we're used to getting mail delivered 6 days a week, sometimes 5, 4. Um, but post office used to run almost constantly. Uh, and now we have email, so it's not as urgent to, get and most of the mail we get is junk. Correspondence is a lost art. Um, there are some people who love to do it who have the fancy paper and elegantly write out these long letters. And I'm impressed by that. That is something that impresses me. And I have a box of important letters. So, Rowan, pretty much everything that you've sent to me lives in the box. So, I can go and I can open up and it's like, oh, this is the card that Rowan sent. And the big scrawl, the first R you ever wrote, or the first R that I ever received from you, and watching you learn how to spell your name, and pictures that your parents sent when you were a baby, and yeah, it's just this box of happy mail. Yeah, box of happy mail.